Alright, what's up guys? So tonight I want to show you guys how I make my armature wires for a human figure. First you need a reference. This is the one that I grabbed. I just grabbed it off Google. I'll put a link down below. You're going to need some wire. I use a couple different kinds. Some thinner wire and some floral wire. And you're going to need some cutters. And alright, so hopefully you guys can see this pretty good. So what I do is I usually mark off a spot on the wrist where I want to start, kind of, and then I'm going to go up to the shoulder and then over, and then I go down and I drew a little line here so I can keep them both straight about where the hip should be, and then it goes down to the feet. And I always leave a little bit extra on the feet in case you want to drill it into a piece of wood or something to hold it steady. So I just take a bit of the wire, and I usually just do a little guesstimation on how long I need, and take my wire snips, snip a piece off, and then move the wire out of the way. And then what I do is I start, and I'll start with the wrist down a bit. And sometimes you can take a pen if you want to make sure they're both the same, and just draw a little line where you're going to start. So what I do is I start with it there, and I'm going to go up to the shoulder and bend it over. And I'm going to go to about the middle of the chest, and I'm going to bend it down. And then, as you can see, it's down to where this line starts. So I'm going to bend in the hip bone, and then bend that all the way down to the foot. And I like to leave a good bit at the bottom in case you want to drill it in. And now you have your half. Here's your arm, shoulder, chest, hip, and your leg. And sometimes I don't guess very good, and I have a bit of extra wire. And I usually just throw that off to the side, and I'll find something to do with that later, make a spear or something out of it. So then I'm just going to do that process again. So now you have two pieces that are relatively similar. They don't have to be exact. It's not the end of the world if they're not exact. So now that I have them, you can kind of see that they are close. Obviously not perfect. And that's alright. And bend them in the shape a bit more, so you have a bit of a shape to them. Make them a bit more similar. That's And now that I do that, what I do is I take not the floral wire. The floral wire is a bit too thin, doesn't hold good. I use what is this? 1/16 inch wire, aluminum wire. It's really bendable, but it's got some good grip to it. So what I'll do is I'll start pretty much anywhere in the middle area, and I'm just going to bind the two sides together with the wire. And I'm just using needle nose pliers to get a good grip on it. And then I'm just going to bend it around the middle section. And you go up and down and all around. And what you're going to do after this is you're going to use the super glue to make sure it stays in a better spot for you. Because sometimes, even though it's bound with the wire, the middle pieces will still flap until you find something that'll keep them from doing that. And you can use super glue, you can use epoxy sculpt, you can use epoxy, whatever you want, as long as it's firm and won't move. So now that I've got that, snip off that, a little bit of wire, and I'm just going to take this guy and squeeze it in there nice and tight. Squeeze it down, and there's this little guy that's sticking up. I'm just going to squish him down. Alright, so now that I have that, those two pieces together, you can readjust them a bit as you need to. Now my one side of the shoulder is a bit larger than the other, so I'm just going to take the bigger one and bend him in a bit more so he matches better. It doesn't poke me later. Now that I did that though, I'm going to put some more super glue on and let it actually dry all the way here. Alright, now while this is almost dry, I'm going to take the fluoro wire, and it's kind of the same process. If you don't have fluoro wire, you can use masking tape. That works really well. And what you're going to do is you're going to put masking tape along the arms and the legs. And I'm going to do the same thing but with fluoro wire. And I like to start at the top. And hopefully you guys can see this. I'm just wrapping it around top here with my pliers. Now that I have that set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it all the way from here, all the way down, going around, and then I'm going to go back up. So it'll give the clay something to grip onto. I'm going to try and make the wires pretty tight. As you can see, it's not quite dry yet, so it's the torso's flipping on me here. Hopefully you guys can see that. So, come on, focus. You can do it. Not on the epoxy sculpt. I think you guys get the idea. I'm going to fast forward this part, but I'm just going to go down the other arm and the legs, and then we'll go from there. Alright, there we go. Now he's all marked up with the wire up and down the legs. It's a little hard to see, but up and down the legs. It's got covered in wire, and that should give our clay, when we put our clay on, a nice area to grip onto. Now the other thing that I forgot to do, and I'll do it now real quick, is I like to mark with a Sharpie the different points that would be bendable. So I'm going to mark a spot on the wrists. I'm going to mark a spot where the elbows are. And I'm going to mark a spot where the knees are. And then I'm actually going to mark out the bottom of the feet, so I know that that's where my feet will go. So now that you have that, what I normally do for the head is I just take a piece of the 1/16 wire, and I'm just going to clip a chunk of it off, and I just wrap it around this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can always adjust it later if you need to. Well, adjust it in the clay, not really in the armature. So I'm just wrapping this around a little bit here. And I'm going to go up and around. And then I'm going to give it a long piece there. And the neck's going to be, you lay it down on your sheet, you can see how long the neck's going to be. So the neck needs to go up to there, and what I need to do is I just roll the top piece down to where the head would be. I'm just going to roll it into a ball. So as you can see, there's my neck piece. I'm going to take that, and you can either clip, if you have that little piece sticking out, you can either clip it, or I'm just going to smush it into the ball. The ball's going to get covered in tin foil. And now you have your head, and you can see he's still kind of like flat almost. So here's where I would figure out what pose I want him to be in and bend him into the pose that I want. Typically the chest is like or the spine I should say, is like a S shape. So I'm going to bend it a bit like that, and then I'm not really sure what this guy's going to be yet. So I'm just going to bend them into a very generic position. So I just bend him at the knees, bend him at the elbows, put a little kink in his torso. As you can see, like this is a good example. You can leave it straight if you want in the chest, and you can build it out with clay, or you can put a bend in it. I sometimes just leave it straight and then build it out with clay. So now that I have that, I'm actually going to put on my gloves and mix up some epoxy sculpt. Yes, my glove just ripped. It's alright. Actually, it's a really good glove. Alright, so I got my gloves on. I always wear gloves when I do the epoxy sculpt. So this is a 1-to-1. I just eyeball it. And what I do is I take it, I roll it into a ball. It's going to end up being a lot. Now that I have that, I'm just going to grab the other part and roll it into a ball. They're pretty close to the same size. So that's what I'll do. Put the lids back on those. And I just mix it all the way up, and then I'm going to put a piece here on the chest. So I guess I should keep it in frame, huh? So you guys can actually see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put a piece down here. And I do leave the center exposed in case I want to bend him at the hips, so to speak. So push that down a little bit more. It's probably a bit much on the hips. don't need that much. So I would take some off the hips and just put it on the chest instead. It's fine. And that's it. That's how I make them. And then once the epoxy sculpt takes 24 hours to harden. Once that hardens, I will throw some tinfoil over top of that, some tinfoil on the head. I like to leave the arms like this. You can bulk them up with some tinfoil, the legs too. I don't. I usually just throw the clay right on there and bake it a little bit longer than normal. And then that's how I do it. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like and subscribe to the video down below. And have a good night.